what's the Biden administration hiding? The Justice Department is refusing to comply with the House GOP subpoena to turn over audio recordings of Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur in that classified docs case. An elderly man with a poor memory. Remember, that's how Hur described the president in that written report submitted to the DOJ. Now, recall that Democrats circled the wagon for Biden after Hur's findings became public.
It's flatly wrong. It is inappropriate. It is gratuitous.
Gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate.
I talk to President Biden, regularly. His mental acuity is great. It's fine.
Right. It's worth noting that Schumer is still with it and is roughly the same age as the president. So if Biden is as sharp as ever, like Chuck says, what are they worried about? In fact, the audio recording should actually put the public's doubts to rest once and for all. But the DOJ says Republicans' interest in securing them is not in service of legitimate oversight, but only serves political purposes that should have no role in the treatment of law enforcement files. Joining me now, Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, to the DOJ's point, what law enforcement purpose would the recordings, or could the recordings, in your mind, advance?
Well, I think we've got to go back to the facts. So remember the facts here. Joe Biden knowingly kept and disclosed classified information. Robert Hur says in the report the reasons he did that on page 231, he said he had strong motivations for doing so and ignoring classified procedures because he was writing a book, by the way, that he got paid an $8 million advance. So we know he met the elements of the crime. He knowingly kept and disclosed information to the ghostwriter. We know that we have a motive, $8 million motive, but yet the special counsel said, we're not going to recommend charges because he's a forgetful old man. Okay. So he met the elements, but you're not going to do it. We want to decide then, and yet you have the Democrats say, no, he's not a forgetful old man, and it's gratuitous for the special counsel to even say that. Well, then let us have the audio tapes. We can decide. We have a constitutional duty to do oversight, and frankly, the American people, we the people, would kind of like to know if that's the reason that someone who meets the elements wasn't charged. If that's the reason, let the country evaluate that for themselves. So give us the audio tapes, because you can always get so much more information from that. You know this as a lawyer, that you can get more from that than you can just the transcript alone.
Now, Joe Biden, Congressman, when he used to actually take questions from the press, shared some thoughts on what should happen to those who defy congressional subpoenas.
What's your message to people who defy congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the Justice
Department?
I do,
yes.
Now, by that standard, should they be criminally prosecuted? Should they not?
Well, there's definitely a double standard. I think about this, Laura. In the last three presidential elections, we've had three people run for office. We've had President Trump, Hillary Clinton, President Trump, Joe Biden, and now again President Trump and Joe Biden. So three people. There's all been concerns raised about how they handled classified information. But only one is getting prosecuted, President Trump. So, I mean, that makes no sense to the American people, particularly when you have the fact pattern I just described that Robert Hur, in his investigation, put forward in his report, and yet says we're not going to charge him because he's a forgetful old man. So this idea that there's a double standard, which is exactly what Joe Biden was alluding to when he said, oh, yeah, people who devise subpoenas should be prosecuted, they should be held in contempt, and on it goes. That is not how it's supposed to work in our country. It's supposed to be equal treatment under the law.
Well, and I just keep remembering the Comey. Remember the famous Comey presser or statement? I shouldn't say presser. When he gets up and he lays out the elements of the crime and then says, well, we're not going to move forward with this.
Yeah, and he says,
it was the strangest thing ever.
Yeah, no reasonable prosecutor would move forward with this. There were 30,000 emails that she destroyed. She was moving classified information across this unsecured server and all kinds of things she did to destroy it. Look, it seems to us to destroy evidence, bleach bit used to destroy things. I mean, and yet no prosecution there, no prosecution with President Biden. But of course, Jack Smith is going after President Trump. The one guy, by the way, I would add, who was actually president of the United States when the concerns were raised about how classified information was handled. The one guy who has complete authority on whether something is classified or not. That's the one who gets prosecuted, but not the other two.
Congressman, always good to see you. Thank you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.